blue, she cannot discuss blue. So take your text with you. So that way you're getting multiple, that's why you did 2 interesting facts. So if we happen to share an interesting fact, she has a backup to it, okay? So everybody look at your card and find a person, a partner with the same suit. Oh, okay. Lottie, I will be your partner. Okay.
You like to
Okay, so I'll take my the fact when I start, was that they have 7 days.
Yeah, that was cool, and one thing I found interesting is the blood of the fish, that he was a fish, is white, because of the oxygen in it.
When you're done, stand back to back with your partner.
And then I did that, blood of horseshoe crab is blue because of a molecule called respiratory pigment.
Oh, I did it.
And then I took that piece of wood, so this happens
Oh, it's just
crap, and it is because of the molecule called respiratory pigment that
Cause
we have that as
the
iron,
whole,
but
everything
the
is all
crab
good
has it
because
as
of it.
copper.
But
And
I got
so,
the reason why.
back to my notes,
But either way,
the,
it's all
and it's like
How
called
is-
this
Isn't that what Casey has in
hemocyanin,
the
where we have
Oh, yeah,
hemoglobin,
she
they have
does.
hemocyanin,
Did you
and
get
when
that?
copper binds with oxygen,
Oh.
it absorbs all the red light, and so it leaves the blue blood.
All right. So now go ahead. At this point, if you have a large class, let me go back to this one real quick. If you have a large class and you want them to continue sharing out, now you tell them go to somebody that has the same color. Go to somebody that is an odd, go to somebody that's an even. That's what I love about the playing cards, is it gives me at least 4 matching opportunities. And in my classes, I made them mix up because I had a class of 19 all the way to a class of 30. So I made them mix about 3 different times on this one, just so they shared everything out with everybody. Okay, so now you are going to do your right portion. So on the back side of your note card, you're gonna choose 2 of these to answer. Now here's the kick when choosing your questions. You don't want it to be a yes or no answer. And if it is a yes or no answer, then you need to add explain, go into more detail, compare, contrast. So your 4 questions: what could happen to the colors of the blood if the organism has an overabundance of the respiratory pigment? How would the lack of oxygen affect the color of the blood? Could humans develop a different color of blood if other pigments or compounds are present in their blood? And is there an advantage or a disadvantage to having a different color of blood? So choose 2 of those questions to answer. And when you're done, just put your pen down so that way I know you're finished. give you guys about another minute or so to wrap up. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. Now, you guys came into this cold turkey. So some of these questions might have been, like I said, and I also did not give y'all English for a reason. But your kids wouldn't come into this part without any background knowledge. We had just completed our tissues unit, which all we focused on was blood. So they understand hemoglobin, they understand the respiratory pigments. This was leading into our circulatory unit. So I was pulling on what their prior knowledge, what they would remember about hemoglobin and the respiratory pigments, what it carries to tie into the circulatory. So, and then where I wrapped them up was with this question right here. Could humans develop a different color of blood if they had other pigments or compounds present in their blood? What do you guys think? Yes? And it is. There was actually, what guided me to this article was that there was an incident of a man in, I believe yes, there was, yes, there's been two incidences. There was a man that drank copper that turned blue, which ties back to the horseshoe crabs. And then there was a man who they didn't know, he had been, I believe it was in England, he had been on a migraine medicine for about 3 years, and it had sulfides in it. The sulfur turns the blood green. When he went to have some normal blood work drawn, his blood was green. They had no idea why they ran all of these tests, and then they realized it was his migraine medicine. Took him completely off his migraine medicine, and within a span of about, I think it was 2 weeks, his blood was back to normal. But it was a buildup of those sulfides in there that were affecting that respiratory pigment that turned his blood green.
Was he doing anything else than other than?
No, he had absolutely nothing else. They made sure they ran months of tests on him afterwards,
I would be like, keep my blood green.
and there was nothing else wrong with him.
So my grandma had to get her original hip replacement replaced because the part was bad. Stryker had a thing, and so what it was doing is it was making her blood like super crazy levels. So they're like, you can go on and live with it like this, but you'll die because that's gonna poison your blood, or you can get it taken out or whatever. So you got it taken out, but when the doctor went to remove it, that it had, because it was so close to all those tissues and everything like that, that around there they had to take out so many more tissues and muscle because it had just like eroded it. And he said it was black, like he was like, it's black. Yeah, but like, so she was like, when she talked to me about it, she was like, so I could either get it replaced and we have no idea what's gonna happen, and this was before she got it, she was like, or I could go crazy, because that's the other thing that'll happen, because it's gonna go to my brain and my nervous system. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
going crazy sounds a lot worse than
Yes.
possibly not walking to the best of your ability.
And that's what they were worried about with the guy with the migraine medicine, because these are natural elements that are already found in your body, so they can cross that blood-brain barrier and go straight there. That's why they were running the tests on him to make sure that it had done, and all it had done was changed his blood green. That's it, it didn't have any other effect on him. Okay, so this is why I asked you guys if you had a resource database, because it makes it real easy when you have free resources that you have quick access to. And what I love is like, with the Newsella, it has the Lexile level. So if you have a mixture of those classes, you have an inclusion class, you can choose that level. And don't be afraid to cut down the article. This article, what I loved about it, it was already short and it was chunked, and it if I took anything out, it would have defeated the entire purpose of the article. But with a lot of the science articles, there's so much jargon, they put politics in them, you can take all of that out and the flow of the article can still work and it can be perfectly fine. Okay, so, overview. So your talk one is your engagement piece. Okay, you're trying to get them hooked. It's your preview, it's open-ended. This is where you just want them to have those discussions, connect to your objectives. It allows participation from all. Okay, so even those kids that don't want to speak in front of the class, they're okay speaking with a partner one-on-one. So the read, you have to give purpose for the reading. I told you guys you were highlighting. This is what you were focusing on. I didn't create table tents because I knew I had a small group. But when you do this in your class, if you create table tents, then the kids have a tendency to try to look ahead. So what I do is I create all of my prompts on color code and I leave them face down. My kids know anything that's laid face down on their tables, they're not allowed to flip over until I tell them. Then I'm like, okay, everybody flip over the purple card. That way they have their prompts right there at their group, but you also have them because I know you guys were doing the bobbing, looking up and down, up and down. So when you have them in that group, all their prompts are right there. So give purpose. Be clear with your annotation. I want you to star. I want you to underline. I want you to highlight. Okay? And then on talk two, provide the structure. This is where you incorporate your Kagan strategies a lot more. Okay? You're going to share out, then you share out, and then you stand back to back. That way I know that you're done. And then on the right, this is the processing piece. So this is where you want to tie it all together. This is your formative assessment. So right now, I could ask you guys to leave me your article and leave me your card, and then you walk out the door. Because then I can look to see, like you said, I could check y'all's highlighting pieces. I have what you have on the card, we look at it, and then the next day I come back and I said, okay, so in general, this is what everybody was talking about on their card. If you don't tie it in the next day, then they're gonna assume you don't read them, and they're not gonna buy into the whole situation, the whole scenario. But as soon as you introduce that to them and you let them know that you were there and you read it, you have those conversations, then they're pretty open. And I teach juniors and seniors. They loved this when we did it, and they were like, can we please incorporate this into every unit that we do? So that has been one of my focuses from when I introduced this. So reflections. So this is what